Heceta Head, Oregon. 1970, the lighthouse sits on a basalt cliff 205 feet above the Pacific, accessible by a single road through dense forest. The U.S. Forest Service had taken over the property and was looking for caretakers willing to live in the Victorian keeper's dwelling. What some of those caretakers reported over the following years is still documented in their own words. The lighthouse itself was built in 1894. By the 1970s, the light was automated and the keeper's house, a two-story queen and structure, was occasionally occupied by Forest Service workers. Jim Anderson and his wife moved in as live-in caretakers in the mid-1970s. Almost immediately, they noticed things that didn't have easy explanations. Anderson described objects being moved overnight, tools, personal items, small household things, repositioned without explanation. He also reported hearing footsteps on the upper floor when no one else was in the house. He documented these events in written accounts that were later collected by paranormal researchers and Oregon historical societies. The most striking account came from a work crew hired to repair the attic in the late 1970s. According to their report, one worker discovered a mirror while clearing debris. That night, the mirror shattered inside the sealed attic. The following morning, the broken shards had been swept into a neat pile, something no member of the crew had done. Several workers refused to return to the site after this. One reportedly quit the job entirely. These accounts were not made to the press, they surfaced years later through interviews conducted by researchers documenting Oregon coastal history. The consistency of separate accounts from unconnected individuals is part of what drew investigators to the case. The figure that multiple witnesses described over the years was consistently a woman, elderly, gray-haired, wearing what they described as period clothing. She was most often reported in the upper windows of the dwelling or near the attic. Locals came to call her Rue, a name connected to a documented historical grave found on the property, a child's grave, believed to belong to a lighthouse keeper's family from the 1890s. The child's grave was discovered during property maintenance in the 1970s. Historical research identified it as likely belonging to the family of Frank DeRoy, head keeper at Heceta Head in the late 1890s. Records confirmed that an infant died on the property during his tenure. The connection between the grave, the era, and the described apparition is documented in Lane County Historical Archives. The case was formally examined by researchers from the Oregon Coast Aquarium and later documented by paranormal investigator Richard Sennett and Oregon historical researchers in the 1990s. They reviewed witness statements, cross-referenced historical records, and noted that accounts from caretakers over 2 decades described the same figure in the same location without prior knowledge of earlier reports. The mundane explanations cover some of it. The sounds, an old building on a cliff in constant coastal wind. The moved objects, imperfect memory, suggestion. The broken mirror, a weak attic structure, thermal expansion. What those explanations don't fully account for is the swept pile of shards, or why witnesses separated by years gave nearly identical physical descriptions of the same figure without apparent contact with each other. Heceta Head is still a working lighthouse. The keeper's dwelling operates today as a bed and breakfast, and guests continue to report unusual experiences. The historical record, the grave, the documented accounts, the consistent descriptions, is real and preserved. So what do you think? Is there a rational explanation, or is something else going on? Drop a comment below, and if you've had an encounter of your own, we want to hear about it. Subscribe to WT Historical for more documented cases from the edge of history.